Welcome everyone to this session on agility in the Arabic world, bridging culture and innovation. My name is Sohaib, and today I will guide you through adapting agile practices to the unique culture dynamic of the MENA region. Before I will start, I would like to thank you all for joining this session, and especially Musab for organizing this session. Thank you very much, Musab and the Agile Jordan team. Thank you very much. I don't know, Musab, if you'd like to add something about you and the Agile Jordan team.
No, the only thing I'd like to add is basically we do sessions on a continuous basis, monthly basis. We try to do that. We have content. Check out the website. We have WhatsApp group. We're going to send those links in the chat as we're going through.
Thank you very much. A little bit about me. So my name is Sohaib Ajloni. My background is technical, but also I had the opportunity to get Agile expertise. So my background also helped me regarding the culture side. So I'm a half Jordanian, half Romanian, and I had the opportunity to work in different companies from small startups to big companies like Mercedes and Ford. I also got some certification in Agile. My education is combining engineering, but also the business aspect, which helped me also to, let's say, have a good understanding of the Agile impact. So what to expect today? So the primary goal for today is to share why you should consider the cultural impact when you are working in adapting Agile methodology, especially in the Arabic world is really unique. So we will touch the challenges and also the culture adaptation you need for you to be able to be successful when you implement Agile. If you have any question, please add it in the chat and we will have at the end a part where we have a Q&A session. Before we dive deep into Agile, let's check together how we work, because to be honest, culture makes every team unique. From how we have a meeting for every decision to let's just do it and check what will happen in the future. Culture really shapes how we approach the project. To kick things off, I would like to share with you 3 statements. So please raise your hand. You can do it virtually also on Zoom if this statement aligns with your team. So first statement, in my team, for us to decide, we need to have 3 approvals and a blessing from the boss. Does that align with your team or company? So it must have a line. Second statement, we love long, detailed project plan that we never follow. Does that align with your team or company somehow? That you plan a lot, but you never follow with them? Okay. Third statement, we prefer to deliver everything at once. So we work, and then we have our delivery in few years. Does that align the statement with your team? So every team has differences, but Agile gives us the framework to navigate these culture dynamics while delivering value. So whether you are stuck in endless approval, like the first statement, these principles for Agile, they really help you to be able to implement agility in your team. And I had the experience, for example, when I was working with an Egyptian team, meetings often tend to storytelling. So people move from, let's say, the topic, they start to say about some personal topic, they joke. And if you think about deadlines, it's a question mark, they really like to be flexible there. In Jordan, for example, hierarchy really plays a strong role. For you to have a decision, you need to have the approval from the management. There's something called wasta. I think many Jordanians, they relate to that. So for you to have something, you need to align with the right person for you to have something. It's hard to explain it in English, but wasta is more about connection. You need to know the right people for you to implement something. And if you move to Germany, then they stick with deadline. So if you look to the culture dynamics, agility needs to work with them. From the Egyptian style, relaxed storytelling, having a tea while you are planning, to the wasta approach in Jordan, to the strict, effective way in Germany, Agile needs to find a way to work with all of them. Now, before I dive more into culture, I just want to bring all of us in this foundation about Agile before we talk about culture. So Agile is built on 4 principles: individual and interaction over process and tools. For example, a Jordanian team can leverage the personal relationship to enhance collaboration. Also, Agile emphasizes about having a working software is more important than having a detailed documentation. As an example, an Egyptian startup can develop quickly MVP, a minimum viable product, with very minimum bureaucracy and less documentation. And the third principle is the customer collaboration. It's more important than contracts negotiation. So, for example, a manufacturer can involve the client at every stage to get their feedback better than spending a lot of time in negotiating a contract. A fourth principle is responding to change over following a plan. If you remember when COVID happened, for example, an e-commerce business will have had to react quickly based on this change and not really following a plan. These are the 4 core principles that Agile is enforcing. And now we will reflect to each principle how they impact or how they will be impacted by culture. If you reflect about Agile regarding the MENA region, so the main 3 benefits of implementing agility in MENA is having flexibility. And also it will improve the stakeholder collaboration, and it will also empower the team to have a faster time to market. And I have noticed more in the MENA region, they are more demanding and more teams are moving into Agile because it's providing these 3 main benefits. Before I move to culture, I would like to ask you a question. What do you think is the primary focus of Agile delivery? It's having a clear planning, or it's incremental value delivery, or having documentation, or focus on contract negotiation? Musab, do you know the answer?
I'm بكتبوا لك بالchat. You have
Okay.
something in the chat.
Okay. Who said B is correct. So the whole idea of Agile is being able to react quickly to deliver something to the end user for you to get the feedback. So I hope I give you a quick intro. Now let's move to the culture. If you want to define culture, so culture is the shared system of values, beliefs, behaviors, and norms that define how people interact, make decisions, and approach work life. And if you check these 3, interact, decision, and approach work life, these are clearly impacting Agile. So if you really want to implement Agile, these 3 things are a cornerstone in your implementation for agility. And if you check culture, so culture is a very powerful and often is invisible impact our communication style. So how people express their ideas, how they decide things, and also how they solve conflict. So from culture, they solve conflict differently. And we just talked about time when we started. When we agree on the workshop time, for some people it was ±5, for some people ±10. For me was I need to be there 15 minutes before the meeting, for example. For time management, it's different based on the culture side. And culture not only influence us as individual, but also influence the whole company, it influence also teams. And why it matter at work? Because if you think about it, so it's really shape how we collaborate together as a team. So team work differently based on their culture. And it's also influence our leadership style. For some culture, as a leader, I need to be on top of the decision. I need to be involved in every task, for example. In other culture, I need to give the power to my team. It also impacts the leadership style you need as a leader to be able to lead your team, and also how your team member expects you to lead. If you also reflect on communication, for some culture, they have this direct way to communicate. They will give you the feedback clearly. For example, in Germany, they are very direct with the feedback. You go to other culture, it's a little bit more indirect. They like to, let's say, give you the feedback in a nicer way. And also, if you check the openness to change, for some culture, they are like to try new things. They like to take more risk, like in the USA, for example, they are more risk taker. If you reflect to other culture, they are more conservative, and they're not really open to try new things. And I will give you a little bit more example about the culture. For example, there is power distance or hierarchy. So in some culture, the decision is really under the manager or under one person. And for them, this is the approach. In other culture, it's more flat. Not only the manager who has the power to decide. Also, if you check the type of culture, there's collectivism and individualism. For example, for individualism, they are more into, I need to achieve. I'm the man of the show. I need to deliver by myself. I focus on my own delivery. For other culture, they are more into the group team. And also when you lead these or when you implement Agile in a team, which is more individual, they really focus on their own delivery, not really the whole team delivery. It's also to consider that. If you think also about the time-oriented, for some culture, for them, they like to multitask. It's okay for them in a week to work on 3-4 different things. For other culture, no. For them, time is linear, and during this time, I only need to work on one task. Another influence, which is the uncertainty avoidance, as I mentioned before. Some cultures are more open for risk-taking, trying new things, and some cultures are more closed. To summarize it, so understanding culture helps you to build a stronger team and respecting each diversity they have, because every culture has its own strength and its own weakness, and your role as a leader, as a coach, to be able to work around them. Also, it helps you, as we're all working globally now, it helps you also to work with other teams from other cultures. It also helps you to be able to adapt your Agile practices to align better with the culture. Coming to the end of the culture topic. So culture, I would define it as the lens that you view the world with it, and also you interact with it. It shapes our actions, how we decide, and our relationship. And in the workplace, you have the power to make it as a bridge where you connect your team with their culture, or you make it as a barrier by not being able to really interact with using agility in the right way with this particular culture. Moving to the last part, how we combine agile and culture. So again, why they should align? Because agile focus on collaboration, adaptability, and transparency. But these are being impacted, or they are built by culture norms. They really influence how we implement these principles. So for agile to be a success, must respect and adapt to the unique culture dynamic of the region. And as a recap, the key culture that really impact agility, we have one, power distance. For some culture, it's okay if my manager has all the power to decide. There are some culture, they expect that. So for me as a team member, I expect that my manager will be in every decision. For other culture, they don't expect that and they don't accept that. Communication style. For some culture, they are okay with the direct feedback. For example, if I ask Musab, how was this workshop? If he is from the direct workshop, from the direct communication style, tell me, was really bad. For example, I didn't like it. Indirect, yeah, was good, but I would recommend you to do this. I need to filter it based on his culture. Was he indirect or direct? This is really important, especially in the retrospective or the sprint review. If you are working with someone from a culture which is indirect, sometimes you really need to use a filter. Or also direct, if he come to you, was bad, you need to know how to take it. We talk about term orientation. I noticed in my experience, when I give a task to someone who is more into multitasking, for him, he will feel like, okay, I'm not really busy enough. If you give me only one task this sprint or one focus, I'm not really delivering much. The other way, if I give someone who prefers to work on one task where he has this linear approach, more than one task, he will feel overwhelmed. So you need to find the best balance. If you take an example, in Egypt often value the personal relationship and trust in the workshop. So meetings usually start informal. So they really want to build this personal knowledge about each other, and deadlines often are flexible. So the challenge here, so how this, let's say an Egyptian culture would challenge Agile. So for them, informal communication and flexible deadlines can conflict with the Agile structure ceremony. For example, time boxing, like for you to have the daily 15 minutes or to have the sprint planning 2 hours, for example. So this really contradicts with their approach, open to think, they like to open different topic and they like to extend the meeting, let's say. So a solution could be starting the daily with a personal update or a personal info or a personal update from someone before moving into the block-up. And this was tested in a startup in Egypt. So how they did it, they started 5 minutes before the daily. Everyone was sharing a little bit more personal update about their personal life. So this helped them to keep the daily time box, but also help their culture to keep this friendly environment in the morning. Moving to Jordan. So in Jordan, hierarchy decision making is common. You need to have a strong respect for authority to the management. So teams also tend to prefer to keep the group harmony over individual opinion. The challenge here is you need to empower the team to self-organize, because this might contradict with the hierarchy culture. So they'll contradict when you have the team deciding by themselves, and retrospective might lack the open feedback because they want to keep the harmony and they don't want to contradict with the management. So retrospective might not be as open as you would like. A solution could help this culture is involving the leaders in the high-level meetings. If you have a sprint planning, for example, some of the leaders might need to be there to make sure that the decisions are made to be able to deliver the task. Also, something would work is to use anonymous tools to give the feedback in retrospective. So if the culture or the team is not able to give the feedback openly, maybe having anonymous tool where the team is able to give the feedback to give you a better and more honest feedback. And an example was introduced in a financial bank in Amman. They started to use anonymous survey after the retrospective, and they got way much better feedback than before when they had it open. Moving to Saudi Arabia. So the high power distance is clearly there and really strong, and they really like to work with clear rules and structure. So stakeholders there, they expect detailed documentation, which really contradict a little bit with Agile, and they need formal update. So Agile emphasizes and lightweight documentation and flexible planning, which might clash with the need for documentation. A solution would be to, when you write the user story, add a little bit more documentation for the management. Like this, you keep the Agile approach, but also you are providing the management with the documentation and the updates the stakeholder required with having detailed user story. Moving to the UAE, where you have a multicultural and business-oriented culture. So you have a team with different culture. The challenge they were facing there is with communication and collaboration. So you have different departments, different teams, sometimes speaking different languages, and also they're coming from different culture. A solution for them was having a Kanban board for every department and having this shared way for every department to see what's happening in different departments. A final example in Lebanon. So Lebanon teams tend to multitask and they like to have this more flexibility. For them, it's the normal way of working. A solution here would be having 1 week sprint. So a solution for them, they had before 4 weeks duration of the sprint. They move it to 1 week sprint. This helped them to have a better overview and also being able to meet the team like, okay, you can multitask in a month, but every week we have a focus on something instead of before where they had it up to 4 weeks and they were really multitasking and it was not really fitting them. Making the sprint shorter work better with a culture that prefer to multitask. So the 3 takes away here is Agile is a mindset that thrive when tailored to the culture norm. You really need to tailor your Agile approaches based on the culture. And MENA region really offer a unique opportunity for Agile to bridge, especially with the traditional norms they have, to be able to have a better innovation. So Agile is not here to replace the culture, but to improve it and enrich it. By combining Agile principles with the cultural strength, organization in MENA can really achieve remarkable results. Thank you very much, and let's move to questions.